Hello everyone, welcome to my new video. Today we're making some pasta and fagioli, which is a classic Italian pasta dish. I really like it, especially during this season. I feel like it warms my heart. Every Italian has their own way of making pasta and fagioli. For example, there are some people that prefer it more soupy and others who like it better when it's creamier. I personally prefer it when it's creamier, so that's how I'm gonna make my pasta and fagioli. So without any further ado, let's get started. To make pasta and fagioli, you could use canned beans, but I prefer making it from scratch. To do so, you need to soak the beans for about 12 hours. So I suggest putting them under cold water for the evening so that they're ready to use the following morning. There are many kinds of beans. I picked some pinto beans, but you could also use another type. After the soaking, I give them a good rinse and I throw them in a pot with about 5 cups of water. At this point, I'm not gonna add any salt because it usually tends to harden the beans peel. But if you have it, I suggest adding 2 bay leaves, which will slightly aromatize the beans. So if you're using a regular pot, you'll need to cook the beans for about 50 minutes. Meanwhile, if you're using a pressure cooker, just like me, the cooking time is half. So firstly, cook them at high heat until the first whistling sound of the pressure cooker, and then lower the heat and keep cooking them for about 20 minutes. At the end of these 20 minutes, you can turn off the heat and let the pressure out just like this. And once the vapor is all out, then you can open the lid. Perfect, the beans are ready. Now I drain them right away and I save up the broth in a container because we'll need it later on. The broth is full of nutrients, so I really don't want to waste it. And I also take away the bay leaves. Now I cut the veggies in small pieces, or you could do this while the beans cook, and I start by finely chopping a garlic clove that I throw in the pot with about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm using the same pot to not dirty another one, but from now on I will not cook under pressure, so any pot will work perfectly. Also slice a white onion. I cut it in half and then into small cubes. A celery stalk could not be missing, so first I slice it lengthwise and then I cut it the other way, so I get these nice little pieces. And don't be afraid to use also the leafy part of it because it's perfect to give flavor to the dish. Similarly, I also chop 2 carrots that I add in the pot. And now that I have all these cut up veggies, I fry them up for less than 5 minutes. Then I add 1/3 of a cup of tomato sauce. I stir everything for a couple of minutes and I add in a cup of bean broth that I put on the side earlier. I let the veggies cook for 3 more minutes so they get a little bit softer, and then I add the beans and 2 more cups of broth. Now it's the perfect time to also add some salt. I put about 2 teaspoons, but you may want to adjust that based on your preference. To make a creamy pasta and fagioli, take out 2 big scoops of beans with some of the broth and put them in a tall container. And now with a hand immersion blender, I mash them all up until I get this nice cream. Once the broth starts to boil in the pot, then I add the pasta. I'm using a type of pasta called d'Italia, which is very typical in Italy, especially in pasta and fagioli. I add in the cream and I also add 2 more cups of broth, or if you don't have any more broth, just use 2 more cups of water. And now we let the pasta cook the amount of time suggested on the package. It may require a few extra minutes since the pasta is cooking in the creamy broth rather than just water. Don't forget to stir very often, otherwise you risk that it will stick to the bottom of the pot. I advise turning off the heat while the pasta is still quite al dente because it will keep cooking if it's not served right away. Perfect, now the pasta is ready. I add some black pepper and some parsley. I'm ready to serve it on a plate with some extra parsley and a fresh drizzle of olive oil. And this warm dish is ready to be enjoyed. And now my favorite part of it, tasting it. Super creamy. I really suggest you try it. So that's how I make pasta and fagioli. I really hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. If you did, leave it a thumbs up and subscribe for new weekly videos every single Thursday. Bye bye! Last thing before I go, make sure to grab a free copy of the recipe in the description box below.